for next time. We're waiting for anyone. Are we going to proceed? Yeah. Hi, I'm Guy. I'm a local consultant doing a little work, and I was going to wait another month to show you what I was up to, but someone begged me on the list to show this tonight, so I figured, what the hey. I'm doing a project for a local company called Always Be There. They do wireless communications, I guess. They seem to be doing pretty well at the moment, so I guess they're a pretty well-run bunch of crowd. They seem like a nice bunch of people, and they have an internal FileMaker application they've been using to run everything that's kind of creaking and groaning. And is that fair? Yeah. So they decided to rewrite it in Rails, and I thought, they talked to me about it, and I thought, that's great. You know, it's hard to imagine a better target for like Rails than replacing FileMaker, right? It's small company, there's like scaling just isn't an issue because there may be 10 simultaneous users at a time, you know, on a bad day. So I could do everything in the sort of cleanest, most sort of declarative, beautiful way that I can. And I thought, great, and I sat down to work on this, and then I started thinking. And one of the things I've been thinking about for a while is that when you're a software developer, you need to have ethics. And apart from the usual obvious business ethics, one thing that's started to seem to me to be increasingly important is you ought to work to make yourself redundant. And I don't mean that just in the sense that I try to write clean code, you know, that somebody else could work on, or that I write documentation. What I mean is, and it gets to a lot of the kind of stuff that Alan Kay talks about when he starts talking about the software industry, is that the software that we generally write is very rigid. The end users, if they need anything slightly different than what you've done, they have to come back to you to get you to change it. And that always seemed to me something that we ought to work harder to fix. Rails makes things greater for programmers, but I don't think it does anything in particular to make it easier for end users to adapt our software and change it. So that was something. And then I read this a few years ago, an essay called Magic Ink. I don't know if you can read the URL on that. It says worrydream.com/Magic Ink. And it's probably the most affecting thing I have read since Gödel's theorem. It's like a different sort of thing, but it goes to what it is to design user-friendly software. And it's just a tremendous, meaty, fascinating thing that I hope would change anybody's perspective on writing software that reads it. So I highly encourage you to go and read it. There's a bunch of different things in there. One of the main themes of it is that software design is graphic design, which is to say your software should be all about communicating cleanly and easily and minimizing the need for interaction, that everything that the user wants should just be there as much as you can. So that's another sort of ethic that I was, you know, feeling like I wanted to bring to this project. And this guy's written a bunch of different programs. One of them got all kinds of awards. It's a widget to let you access the BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit timetable if you catch the train in the Bay Area. And I just wanted to show it to you because I think it's interesting. So here's his, you know, everything is graphical design kind of point of view, right? You can very, very easily get around in it. This, though, where are we? This next thing I think is just fascinating. See, that's the dialogue that you use to say that you want to announce, you want the computer to speak to you about your timetable. It doesn't bring up the standard dialog box. It's this thing that has plain English sentences that parts of you can change. It's a kind of a small thing, but I think that is an absolutely revolutionary, beautiful way of communicating with the end users. So this is something else that I'm aspiring to bring to this project, is to do more of this kind of interaction that's going to be obvious for the users how to use. So I'm calling that, I guess, plain English interaction. But not, I think, you know, not trying to do language parsing or anything like that. I think here's an idea that I can bring to this project to make it easier to use. Anyway, here's a demo of the project as it stands at the moment. Now, it's kind of ironic that I talked about graphic design, because at the moment it's kind of what would be the word? Craigslist ugly. Right, it's alpha software, but it's not pretty. But let me show you where I'm at in terms of making something that I hope that you think is a little bit different, and maybe even, I'm hoping, worthy of turning into a plugin or something one day that we might all contribute to and use. So the idea is to make it something that the end user can have much more control over. So I've done a few things. One is this idea that you can create your own asset types. So one of the things they want to track in the company is assets. There's a variety of different things you might have. These are all the tables that are related to assets. So one thing I've done is I've said you can create your own asset types and choose what's on it. And there's a little problem with drag and drop in prototype, it looks like, but anyway. Okay. So that's a small flavor of the kind of thing I'm trying to do. Here is I think the most interesting thing I've done so far, which is to make a fairly sort of declarative list view. So the one thing the users can do is, I can bring this list up for any table in the database. And it shows you all the related fields, and it's actually quite a big list. You can't see them all. And you can choose which fields you want to see and in what order. Right. Then the other thing you can do is you can click on any of the column headers and provide constraints. It's a fairly simple list at the moment, but I'm planning on expanding it. And so show me everything before the M's. All right. Now I'm deliberately not doing anything kind of Ajax-y here. You have to click a button and reload it. The point is that goes into the URL. All the information that for whatever you're looking at any time goes into the URL, so you can bookmark it, you can email it to people. There you go. And then trying to think about the interaction in the detail view again. I've done one thing so far that's a little unusual, which is when you've got a related many kind of thing, so an asset can, in this case, have many network interfaces. So to try and sort of simplify the user interface and make it so you can do data entry more easily, you don't have to keep clicking. There's a kind of empty box, and every time you type into it, it adds another one. Right? And you can delete one. And so this is the whole thing over here on the side here with shared and personal. The idea is you can click there and give it a name, and then any URL you can see, you can sort of bookmark and add to the either shared into the shared links for everybody or just for you. So I figure if you're the guy in the San Diego office and you're only interested in seeing assets in San Diego that are, whatever, you can customize this list yourself. Everybody who uses this program is going to be able to customize it to suit themselves. Anyway, that's what I'm up to. As I say, I would like to develop this further and then turn particularly that list view into something that's a plugin that maybe we could all use and contribute to. That's it. Any thoughts? Would you be interested maybe in using some of that if I, wasn't so Craigslist ugly, perhaps? Catwalks where you see models. That's probably the best thing I've done is come up with a name so far. So I have grandiose ambitions for it. I really want to try and keep pushing on this kind of framework and really make something that makes much more sort of plastic software for end users much easier to write. But it's just sort of baby steps, one thing at a time. But does anyone think they might be interested in using this one day if it got better and cooler? We have end user customizable lists and stuff. No? Yes? Maybe? Maybe I'll show it again in a couple of months and it's a little further along or something then. I did. Part of this was also I started out with being frustrated that, you have all this scaffold code that all looks the same. And obviously to do this, I had to sort of do a lot of meta-programming, so I kind of wound up replacing the scaffold code as well. But it goes kind of beyond that because it has this interaction with the view and so on, so I've ended up writing my own thing. And I looked at it, and there was something it didn't handle joins or something very well. I forget now. Yeah. So this is getting fairly stable now. Well, yes and no. I mean, when it's working really well, right? So yeah, I handle joins, and you can pull things off tables 3 away and sort on them and everything already. So. We just need to pull the data out and get it into this thing and then throw away FileMaker and never look at it again. So I'm just going to probably write some one-off script or something. I don't know. The back end is MySQL at the moment. I couldn't talk them out of that one, but. Yes? Was setting filters? Yes. Yes, I'm planning on showing under the column headings whatever constraints are on the column. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of little things like that I want to add to it. Smaller things and bigger things. I'd like you to be able to do constraints that compare columns, for example. Right? But I'll wait till we've got a use case for that. But I just want to thank Always Be There for cooperating with me on, letting me do some of this sort of stuff on my own, and a way so I can release it maybe one day. And
That concludes this episode of the SD.RB podcast. See you next time.